a desert the size of America. Almost nobody lives there. The Sahara is almost exactly the size of the United States. Lay it over America, and it stretches from California all the way to the Atlantic. And across that entire expanse, only about 2.5 million people live. That is fewer than the city of Chicago, scattered across an area big enough to hide the whole lower 48 inside. Everybody assumes the reason is the heat. It is not. Phoenix, Arizona bakes in the Sonoran Desert and holds 1.6 million people just fine. Heat is an engineering problem. What actually empties the Sahara is something far stranger. And 6,000 years ago, this place was the exact opposite of empty. It was green. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly what switched it off. This is No One Lives Here, where we map the emptiest places on Earth and the reasons they stay that way. The Sahara is the largest hot desert on the planet, sprawled across 11 countries and more than 3.5 million square miles. To understand why it is nearly empty, you have to throw out the obvious answer and follow the one thing every surviving town out here is really built on. Water. Where it exists, people cluster. Where it vanished, they left. Start with the scale. Start with just how big this is. The Sahara covers about 3.5 million square miles, roughly 9 million square kilometers. That is nearly the size of the entire United States or of China, and it stretches across the whole top third of Africa, from the Atlantic coast of Mauritania to the Red Sea. Now put people on it. The best estimates put the Sahara's total population somewhere between 2.5 and 4 million. Take the lower figure, and you get a density of well under 1 person per square mile. For comparison, the United States averages about 94 people per square mile, and the world as a whole averages around 60. So the Sahara is roughly the same size as America, while holding less than 1% of America's people. And even that number flatters it, because those 2.5 million are not spread out evenly. They are jammed into a handful of river valleys, oasis towns, and thin coastal strips. Step away from the water into the true interior, and you can travel for a full day and see no one at all. Whole regions of the Central Sahara are among the least inhabited land on the planet that is not buried under ice. There are stretches of the Libyan and Algerian interior larger than entire European countries, with essentially no permanent population at all. This emptiness is not gentle or partial. It is close to total. And the strange thing is that the usual explanation for it is not just incomplete. It is flat out wrong. So why is it empty? Ask most people and they answer with one word: heat. And yes, the Sahara is savagely hot. Summer afternoons routinely blow past 45 degrees Celsius, 113 Fahrenheit, and some of the highest air temperatures ever recorded were claimed here. But heat, on its own, does not empty a place. Phoenix, Arizona sits in the Sonoran Desert, pushes past 45 degrees every summer, and holds 1.6 million people. Dubai and Riyadh are built in comparable heat and hold millions more. Las Vegas, Cairo, Baghdad. Hot cities thrive all over the world. Heat is an engineering problem. You beat it with shade, with water, and today with air conditioning. What those hot cities have that the Sahara does not is not cooler weather. It is water. Across most of the Sahara, less than 25 millimeters of rain falls in an entire year. That is under a single inch. In the hyper-arid core, around places like Kufra in Libya, years can pass with no real rainfall at all. Nothing to drink, nothing to grow, nothing to anchor a town. It is not that the Sahara is too hot to live in. It is that, almost everywhere, there is simply no water to live on. Cities can air condition their way around heat. Nobody has figured out how to air condition their way around a total lack of water. That is the honest reason the map stays empty. Not because the sun is too strong, but because the sky almost never gives anything back. And here is the fact that rewires the entire story, the part almost nobody knows. It was not always this way. In fact, it was recently, and dramatically, the opposite. Six 6,000 years ago, if you had stood in the middle of what is now the driest sand on Earth, you would have been looking at grassland. During a stretch that scientists call the African Humid Period, the Sahara was green. Not faintly green, savanna green, dotted with enormous lakes. One of them, Lake Megachad, was for a time larger than any freshwater lake on Earth today. Rivers ran across ground that has not seen a stream in thousands of years, and it teemed with life. Hippos wallowed in the shallows. Crocodiles, elephants, giraffes, and great herds of cattle moved across open plains. People lived here too, and they left us the proof. At Tassili in Niger, in the Algerian desert, there are more than 15,000 rock paintings and engravings, an entire gallery of cattle, hunters, and dancers created by herders thousands of years ago. It is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site sitting in absolute desert. And deep in the Egyptian sand, in a place literally named the Cave of Swimmers, there are painted human figures that appear to be swimming. Swimmers on a cave wall in what is today one of the most waterless places on the planet. The paintings never moved. The water did. Think about what that means. The desert you picture as timeless, the ultimate symbol of dead, waterless land, is actually a very recent arrival. For most of the time humans have existed, this was somewhere you would want to live. So the real question is not why the Sahara is a desert. It is what took a green, lake-filled savanna, full of animals and people, and drained the whole thing dry. So what turned that garden into a graveyard? Not people, at least not at first. It was the planet itself, slowly tilting. Earth wobbles on its axis in a cycle called precession that runs about 23,000 years. Around 11,000 years ago, that wobble aimed the northern hemisphere at the sun during summer, delivering roughly 7% more sunlight to North Africa than it gets today. That extra heat supercharged the African monsoon, dragging rain far to the north, and the green Sahara bloomed. Then the wobble slowly reversed. By about 5,500 years ago, the summer sunlight had faded back toward normal, the monsoon retreated south, and the rain stopped arriving. And here's the shocking part. It did not fade out gently over ages. Once the drying crossed a tipping point, feedback loops took hold. Less plant cover meant more bare sand. More bare sand reflected more sunlight and killed off even more rain. The green Sahara collapsed into desert in as little as 1 to 2 centuries. Within a few human generations, lakes that had held hippos turned to dust. The people did not stubbornly stay and fight the heat. They did the only sane thing left. They followed the retreating rain out of the emptying interior toward whatever water still remained. Some of those herders and their cattle drifted south into the Sahel, and others funneled toward one particular valley in the east, where a single river kept flowing no matter what the sky did. That great migration, driven by a fading orbit, is the reason the map of the Sahara looks the way it does today. And that is exactly where you find the Sahara's 2.5 million people today, not scattered across the sand, but clinging to islands of water. The largest island is really a line, the Nile. It is a thin green ribbon slicing straight through the desert, and it carries almost the whole of Egypt. Around 95% of Egyptians live on roughly 5% of the country's land, packed tight along the river and its delta, with open desert on both sides. From orbit at night, Egypt glows like a bright snake in a sea of black. Then come the oases, spots where underground water pushes up to the surface. Places like Siwa in Egypt, green with date palms in an ocean of sand, have sheltered towns for thousands of years. And where nature will not deliver water, people have gone digging for it. Beneath the Sahara lies the Nubian Sandstone Aquifer, the largest known store of fossil water on Earth, rain that soaked into the ground during the last ice age, more than 10,000 years ago. Libya spent decades and billions of dollars building the great man-made river, for 1,000 kilometers of giant pipes hauling that ancient water north to its coastal cities. It is the largest irrigation project ever built. But fossil water does not refill. It is being pumped out far faster than any rain replaces it, and estimates give some of it only decades before it runs low. When it runs dry, so does the town it feeds. Every settled place in the Sahara is, in the end, sitting on borrowed water. So put it all together. The Sahara is not empty because it is hot. Hot places fill up with people all the time. It is empty because, almost everywhere, the water is gone. And the cruelest twist is that the water was here, within human memory. The people who painted those cattle and those swimmers watched their world dry up, not across geological ages, but over a few generations, because a slow wobble in Earth's orbit switched off the rain. What remains is one of the emptiest places on the planet, where 2.5 million people survive on the exact spots where water still reaches the surface or can be pumped up from an ice age that ended long ago. The Nile, a scatter of oases, and a fading reserve of fossil water are the only reasons anyone lives here at all. Draw a map of where the water is, and you have drawn a map of where the people are. The two are the same map. The Sahara did not push its people out with heat. It pulled the water out from under them. And everywhere the water held on, so did they. That is the pattern this whole channel keeps finding. The emptiest places on Earth are almost never empty for the reason you would guess. There is usually one quiet, physical thing missing, and once it goes, the people go with it. That is the Sahara. Too dry, not too hot, and green within human memory. If you want to keep mapping the emptiest corners of the planet with me, subscribe to No One Lives Here. Next time we swing to the opposite extreme, to the coldest town on Earth, a place where the temperature hits -71 degrees and people somehow still live. That one is called the coldest town on Earth hits -71 degrees. Subscribe, and I will see you there.